Good evening, everyone. The topic of this particular video will be RGB, the acronym RGB. But before I tell you what that acronym actually stands for, I want to tell you guys that I have five Kindle books that I have published on Amazon Kindle. If you're interested in reading any of those, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I will leave you a link to one of the five Kindle books, and you can go ahead and read all five at your leisure. But in the meantime, I am on a live stream. That's why you're seeing me at an angle right now. We are going to go into this immediately because I've heard about clickbait, and I actually made a video about clickbait. And if you're interested in that video, let me know. I'll leave you a link to that clickbait video in the comment section of this video. Okay? So anyway, let's talk about RGB. RGB obviously is an acronym for the three primary colors on the color wheel. What are these three primary colors? Well, let me show you. They are, and I'm not going to do this in any particular order. I'm just going to do it the way I feel like. Okay, RGB, red, green, blue. That's it, pretty much. However, that is not the end of this video. Oh no. If you combine these colors in certain sequences, you get all the other colors on the color wheel. That's how that works. But what may surprise many people is that this isn't the only way to mix colors. Whoops! When it comes to printers, you may notice the color names magenta, yellow, cyan, and black. Why is that? Because when the printers first started, a lot of times they started out as dot matrix, and dot matrix is actually different in measure than the pixels that you actually see on your computer screen. And by the way, tonight I'm going to tape a video about pixels and explain them as well. So there is actually a great big difference between pixels and the dot matrix, which would be dots per inch. Big difference. Okay, and if you want to look that up, go for it. Okay, then of course there's also laser printers, and they're different too, and we'll get into that later. But right now, the main thing to remember is that printers will usually have magenta, yellow, and cyan, and black, whereas your pixels will always be red, green, and blue. There you go. Alright. But there is yet another color sequence you need to know about. You're like, what? A third one? Oh yeah. Many artists who paint portraits or landscapes will use the colors red, yellow, and blue because they'll have them in tubes instead of dot matrix or even a pixel. They'll have these actual physical paint tubes. So they have red, yellow, and blue, and they create their other colors by mixing those together. But why do television sets and computer monitors use the RGB color scheme? The reason for this can be found in the science of the light spectrum. If you aren't aware, in science, light is measured in wavelengths. Ooh. If you will recall, I discussed the topic of light spectrum in a previous video because I had covered actually graded index lenses, Fresnel lenses, and a bunch of other stuff for solar panels. Okay? If you don't believe me, you can go look back at some of my old videos and you'll see. Alright? But I will review some of the material right here. Our eyes can only see part of the light spectrum. Oops. Our eyes can only see light wavelengths between 380 and 700 nanometers. That's not very big. I can't even represent it with my fingers. That's how small it is. The violet color has the shortest wavelength, while the color red has the longest wavelength. The blue wavelength is shorter than the green wavelength, and the green wavelength is shorter than the yellow wavelength. And in case you haven't guessed, the yellow wavelength is shorter than the red wavelength. Okay? I could go on and on with this discussion, but I think you can comprehend what I'm trying to tell you. And if you want to look this up in the line of pixels, which I'll explain that in a video tonight, you can go look that up and you can see the color wheel and the RGB and the whole 9 yards. Isaac Newton was the guy who discovered the color wavelengths by conducting experiments with a crystal prism. Okay? But why should you concern yourself with this terminology? The main reason for this has to do with pixels, because when you're making these web pages, you're going to be dealing with pixels because that's what shows up on your computer screen. These pixels are comprised of phosphors. These phosphors are stimulated by electron beams. There are 3 phosphors in each pixel. Guess what color they are? Red, green, and blue. Ha! So, basically it would go like this. There's a red phosphor, a green phosphor, and a blue phosphor in the pixels. Once these phosphors are stimulated, they display various colors on your computer screen because the light combines together, and there you go. And they are stimulated by photons, so there you go. Alright. So, I want you guys to stay tuned because the very next video I'm about to do will be on the topic of pixels. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned.